Make sure y'all get the banana pudding. That's enough.
Yes.
Underrated.
Banana
And the
masood.
corn pudding.
Come on,
And the
super
corn pudding.
underrated. That is.
Beans,
Yes.
I mean,
That's a
just
5
side.
out of 5, y'all. Let me tell you that.
That's a fact.
Dang, we forgot that.
I kind of want to go.
It might be the #1 barbecue side.
What time y'all close?
What's that?
They close at 8.
Redwood.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Make It Happen podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Make It Happen. This is episode 67, and it's an extra special episode because we have Bob here, my guy, who owns, in my opinion, the best barbecue restaurant in the state of Virginia, pit master,
Or the
restaurant
world,
owner.
I heard.
The world?
Yeah, that's.
I'm going to Austin
what
in
I
a
just
couple
heard.
days, so I can't
just
wait to
heard
try
that.
it.
He just.
I like that. That's good energy. We got Jamel on the couch. We got Big Moody behind the boards. And it's a beautiful day. Thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me, man.
Absolutely. So, for those that don't know, Redwood Smoke Shack, there's 3 locations in Virginia. You got it in Norfolk, Virginia Beach. Are they 2 in
Suffolk.
Virginia? Or Suffolk, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, right?
Correct,
Which
yeah.
one was the very first one?
Norfolk.
Norfolk.
6.5 years ago.
Nice. So, what was that like when you first
Hell.
opened? Yeah.
No, that was the fun one.
That was the fun
Yeah,
one.
the first one's always the fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming out of a food truck, coming out of a real career, and the food truck on weekends, it was nice to kind of go and just hone all my attention and my focus on one thing.
Right.
And the build out was fun back then. You know, I was 6-7 years younger. So
Right.
you age really quickly when you're in this business.
Tell me about it. I believe it. So we'll back up a little bit. So you started. You said you had a profession prior to going into this. So you were doing it part time with the food truck. What were you doing before you started doing barbecue?
Yeah, so I ran food service for a local college, NSU.
Nice.
So I did their food service for 6 years. I was a food service director there. And I had a little stint of like building out the student center and getting trained by Chick-fil-A and being sent down to Atlanta and trained in their corporate headquarters for a couple of weeks, sent down to Dallas. So I was kind of well-versed in all kind of what I thought aspects of food service. I got burnt out, so I kind of flipped switch and I went over to the broker side. And I was a food broker for K-12 in the military for the state of Virginia for another 5 years. During that time is when I was brewing a lot of beer, and then I started doing a lot of barbecue because I had my weekends off. First time in my life.
So it was like a
that
hobby at the time.
Yeah, it was all just hobby, just hobby. And the barbecue just kept people coming back, and more people kept showing up. It's kind of the same story I hear from like Leo and all these guys that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Starts for fun, and then who can deny it was free booze because I was making it and barbecue.
It's a hell of a
So,
deal. Wish I knew you back
progression-
then. I said I wish I knew you back then.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. And the progression just kept going to where like the next smoker I got with my tax returns, it was bigger than the previous one. You get it home and you're like, wow, the thing's way bigger. What am I going to do? So I told my girlfriend at the time, I'm just going to go buy a shit ton of meat. We're going to cook it because I have practice.
Yeah.
And then all that, we're just going to sell at the end of the driveway. And she's looking at me like, you are insane. And that's what we did. We came up with a name and set up a table, towed the smoker to the end of the driveway. And one Sunday, I just
Was
sold.
it Redwood back then?
No, it was called 3105 Smoke.
Okay.
And now my LLC for the third location is named after that.
Nice.
So kind of that's like hits
Full
real
circle.
close to home.
Reminiscent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
That's good.
So
What was
we
your
did
first
that
smoker?
and-
First smoker.
the first smoker came off Craigslist, and I still have it. It's on top of the refrigerator at the Virginia Beach spot.
Nice.
It's a little Oklahoma Joe. So the other one we got was a Lang 250. So it was not just a 1 or 2 pork butt smoker.
Yeah, Lang is legit.
Yeah. So I saved up. Well, I didn't really save up. I guess I let Uncle Sam borrow my money for a year, and he decided to give it back to me.
Yeah.
But it's refunded me in much greater ways.
Oh,
now.
for sure.
So that was cool. We did that few weekends in a row, and people started showing up with lists of orders and things like that. And my girlfriend, who's not my wife, she looked at me and she's like, you may have something here.
Right.
The people leaving notes in the mailbox and all that kind of
Right.
it's just a cool story.
Yeah.
And we bought a food truck. We drove up to New York, picked it up the trailer, drove down here, and it sat there for like 8 months because I just couldn't come up with a name. I couldn't come up with it. All just kind of had to happen on its own.
Yeah.
I didn't want to force anything. And if you know anything about food service and actually like building out a restaurant, which a food trailer is essentially that,
Yeah.
you got to have a name, you got to have a logo. You got to know what your disposables you're serving on. You got to know portion size, recipes. So there's a little bit more that goes into it than just, hey, I got a food truck.
Yeah, all the finances. You got to make
Yes.
sure,
Yeah. And ever since day
Scaling
one,
up
I
the
tried to do
recipes.
everything as I don't want to say by the book, but how I was taught by like Chick-fil-A and Yum Brands and Thompson Hospitality. So, everything had to be done professionally,
Right.
which since the beginning of this whole idea, I've always been coined like, oh, are you a franchise? And I'm like, no, not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think people just see it if it's not just half-assed.
That's a good.
They see
good
it as like, oh, wow, you must be a corporate entity.
Yeah.
And we're not. You just, if you learn, and I've learned from some of the best, and I've put my effort and my time and my money into areas that I thought were important, which marketing. There's always two things. Everybody says, oh, always be marketing and always be hiring.
Yeah.
If you're doing
That's
those
a
two
fact.
things, you can grow, you can
Right.
scale. So
you open. How did you go from, leaving your job to going all in on your passion at this point? It sounds like
there's only one way to do it: close your eyes and just
Yeah.
jump. Right? You do out the math.
yeah.
I hired a business consultant, and he's my CFO now. He's an 83-year-old professor at Norfolk State for tourism and hospitality. He's the one that's spearheading this new gaming class that they're doing there. And I'm a big fan of, if you don't know how to do it, you find somebody that does.
Hire your weaknesses.
Yeah, and I do a lot of reading because I kind of travel a lot to Texas and other on vacations.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my time to read and just get away from the norm. And I just read a book by Dave Marnell, Buying Back Your Time. Amazing book.
Yeah.
I'll have to check
And
that out.
it's basically that, right? You hire for figure out what in the beginning you have to do it all. You got to wear all the hats.
Right.
Yeah.
And once you can start bringing on building your team, find the things that you really enjoy doing.
Right.
And just focus on those. Hire out everything else.
Makes sense.
And I've been fortunate enough that I'm pretty good at hiring people. Now I don't have to really worry about like normal employee hiring. It's just, the team,
Right.
the management team and upper management. But we have some really good ones, some people that really care. Nobody's going to care as much as me, but I think I have a really good team that I think if you were to be like, a lot of people ask them, are they the owner?
Yeah.
Which makes me feel
That's
good.
beautiful.
That's very
Because in the
important.
beginning, I was the only one.
Yeah.
You're the face, and it took so long to try to back away from that. Because in the beginning, it's kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
It's fun to do this stuff. It's
Right.
fun to be the face, the personality, the attitude. But you just can't do it all, or else you just have no life whatsoever.
So it's a very similar book that I read. It's called The Eat Myth Theory, but it talks about how a lot of business owners build like a prison because they feel like they're the only one that can do all of these, but you're giving, employees, you're bringing in some grace to take on this position. Yeah, they can't do it as good as you, but is it good enough to make sure that the business runs so you can free yourself up to do the things within the business that you like?
I think we get stuck in our own mind thinking that we're the only ones that can do it this well.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for my employees and maybe some ideas that I didn't really think were good ideas, but I just wanted to see how it was going to play out.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, I didn't really see that
Working
happening.
out.
Right? I can't plan everything.
Sure.
I try,
Right.
but day to day, it's like, let's just see what happens. Let's run a test. And delegation is the hard part.
Right.
And it's the same conversation I had
Letting
with my
go a
management
little
team.
bit, especially when it's your baby. Like you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I can relate a lot to that. So I was in a kind of a similar situation. I was working for a Capital One for 11 years. Started to do my thing on social media, YouTube. Started to blow up. We were making money, and I had a decision to make. It's like, do I stick with this job that I worked my ass off for over a decade, climbing the ranks, I'm 6-figure salary, living very comfortably, taking care of my family? Most people would not quit that job. Like, I was lucky to have that job.
Looking back on it, I'm going to say probably I wouldn't quit that job.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
But then it's like you got this opportunity. Like you said, you got to just, if you do the math, make sure that you have a safety net in place, try to be smart about it, but you got to take the leap.
So do you feel like for you, was it more so like the passion for you, like liking to cook barbecue, or was it more so like the logistics of knowing that the numbers were good that drove you to like, this thing could work?
So in the beginning, it was the passion of barbecue because it was new.
Okay.
And I grew up in upstate New York. I graduated with 34 kids. my first job was picking rocks out of a field so farm equipment didn't get damaged.
Yeah.
You know, all my friends had farms. They grew up on farms.
So you had like that
milking cows and-
grit that it takes.
Yeah. I've kind of I've been there, you know, hands on doing
Right.
it since the beginning. So hard work was never something that deterred me from doing it. It was just more of a challenge.
Right.
And barbecue was fun. It wasn't fast. It was, and that's why I love beer brewing, because it's so
process.
drawn out, right?
Yeah.
It takes time.
Anybody can do it.
But after 8 days, you could take that first sip of that beer and be like, wow, that sucks. I got to dump
Do it
5
all
gallons
over.
of
I
beer.
got to do
right?
it all over again.
Right. Yeah.
And but that's the same thing with a brisket. You
Yeah.
know, you might trim it. You trim in the beginning. Your trimming's going to look like pure hell. You're going to be looking at videos, or back when I was doing it was books, and I'm like, that's not what mine looks like, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And it kind of evolves, and you have friends over, and you're so proud of what you created, and then you cut into it and you eat it, and I'm like, I don't know what brisket's really supposed to taste like, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's not like this.
Yeah.
Right.
And come to find out, it's not like that. But you know, nobody starts
Yeah, nobody nails
from
their
no,
first
no,
brisket.
or anything,
Yeah,
right? Or
most,
anything.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
things.
If you know, I listen to a lot of Gary Vee,
Mm-hmm.
and I like him because he's very just to the point, rude and crude. He's not rude. He's just to the point. If
Yeah,
you don't like
blunt.
him,
No
again,
fluff,
you don't like
yeah.
him. But he says, you know, get used to fucking losing. Because
Yeah.
if you don't lose, you don't
Yeah.
like to lose, then you're never gonna try anything.
And you can learn more
Right.
from losing than you are
Yeah.
from winning at the same time.
For sure.
So when we say
Exactly.
brisket is your favorite cut,
Yeah. So there's I do really enjoy a good brisket.
Yeah.
I enjoy I like a good just basic pulled pork too.
Yeah.
It's right now, if I were to have to pick something on my menu that I really enjoy, and Tony with Luce came by today for tacos out in Suffolk, so I was talking to him and I brought him over our pork belly, Gucci Jane glazed pork belly burn ends.
oh yeah, love it.
And it was one of those things where last time I took my pitmaster down to Texas and we went down and cooked at Snow's, which is kind of a world famous
Yeah.
barbecue spot. It's got that 86-year-old pitmaster Tootsie
saw
that
them
was
on
on Chef's
YouTube,
Table.
yep.
Okay.
So we went down there, we cooked with them for the day, introduced my pitmaster Kyler to a lot of my friends, acquaintances more down in Texas. We went to this one place, Interstellar, strictly for their peach tea glazed pork belly. And I ate it, I was like, this is good. And it's something that we don't have, but I think we can do it better.
Yeah.
So I went back and we just, I mean, from sourcing the correct pork belly, that took forever to find a pork belly that was consistently fatty enough for the result that we wanted.
Sure.
Because pork belly, everybody thinks pork belly is, oh, it's just fat, right? No, you get a lot of pork belly, and it's where they're gonna make the most money off that cut. So pork belly is attached to a belly or to a rib.
Yeah.
Well, ribs are typically, you know, they're going to get pound for pound with that little belly. They're going to get more if they leave a little bit more on. So you'll get a lot of lean meat on bellies.
Yeah.
So we found a Duroc heritage breed belly that performed well for us. And then we just started developing our process. And now it's a 2-day cook. You know, it's 2 different stages. But that lends itself to what I think is that, you know, very unctuous bite. And then we
Yeah.
do a house-made Gucci Jane glaze. So,
Nice.
I love that because when we get pork belly out, it's so inconsistent.
Yeah.
And that
Yes.
just explained the whole process of
Yep.
why it's so inconsistent.
Well, if
And-
you look
and
at
all-
a piece of bacon, you see the lean, you'll see the fat. Like
Right.
you don't understand really what you're looking at until you see a belly. And when you see a belly, you'll see it just like brisket. You'll have your point and your flat, your lean and your moist. Belly's the same way. You look at that; it's got basically 2 different cuts in the belly, and you can kind of see it. And then it's all about how it's trimmed.
You got to kind of know also like what fat is going to render properly because
Yep.
like especially on a brisket, like all of that fat's not really usable fat. You got to trim a lot of that shit off because
Right.
it's not going to render.
And we use a lot of that. You know, we're now repurposing a
Tallow
lot of
super
our trim. Tallow
popular now.
You know, we sell tallow now at the restaurant in
Smart.
our little grab and go case.
Very smart.
We're making chocolate chip cookies with tallow now instead of butter.
okay.
Some steakhouses probably will buy it because a lot.
Oh, I'm sure we could.
Yeah.
I could probably reach out to some buddies that have places and
Yeah.
easily offload it. But we use a lot of it for
actually, I might hit you.
I
up
might,
with it.
I might
that'd be
need some of
anytime.
that.
We have
Yeah,
plenty
that's-
of it.
Yeah, I bet.
But making our own sausage will take a lot of that fat,
Yeah.
all that trim, rib trim. all that stuff.
And the sausage, y'all sausage is pristine.
It's so good.
It's
Appreciate it.
so
That's
good.
another one of
It's
those
fucking
things that
amazing.
took forever.
I
to
judge a
learn how to
barbecue
do.
spot on
But
their
it's
sausage
for sure,
heavy.
and it's really good. I really loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, we go through a lot. We're doing 400 pounds every 5 days of hand made. So it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's a 3-day process on that too.
So the thing when growing up for me and where I grew up at barbecue, like if they said that you want barbecue, they come home and they got this mushy pulled pork and this.
Did you grow up around
Like
here?
Richmond.
Richmond,
not too
okay.
long
Bill's
from here,
Barbecue.
So that was
what
what
he's
they was
talking
bringing
about,
home.
yeah.
So like recently, within the last like 2 years, and coming out to your spot as we did the video and seeing the whole process, I got such an appreciation for barbecue.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that it's laborsome and it takes like some execution
Takes
to
love.
be done.
Yeah.
Right.
It really takes love. It
Right.
You
really
have to
does.
be passionate
Yeah.
For
about
sure.
it to baby, especially if you're using a stick burner. You have to feed that shit every 25, 30 minutes.
It's ours.
It's a
about every
labor of
15.
love. Yeah. I mean, even
And
that's
the way I
even
set up
more.
our pit room now, where before, we were all over this parking lot in Norfolk and Ghent, but now the fireboxes are in the same vicinity.
Yeah.
Which is great, but the problem too is not only is it time consuming, but you have stick burners burning a pretty sizable fire with a lot of coals, and we have 4 of those in a room.
115 degrees in there.
Oh, right
or
now
more.
it is.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
In the
This is the
summertime.
first year that we're in there. So it's one of those things where you really have to weather the elements.
And
too.
make sure you appreciate those boys in Texas too, because we went
Oh.
to Truth and they gave me a tour in the dead of summer. I mean, it's probably 115 in Houston.
Yeah,
hot
outside.
as
Yeah.
hell.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we go into he's like, yeah. And then we're like, I'm good, bro. I'll
Yeah.
see it. Like,
Yeah.
I see it from
That's the
here.
high-
They got the glass
I'm
by
out
the
there.
line. You're
I've
like,
been
I'll
in
just
here
watch
too long.
him.
I'm sweating through everything that I got on. Like my day is
I still
over.
think that's the hottest place. Like I know people say Vegas, but in Vegas you get cool fast because you go into a casino. So you be in the heat, then you get cool. But in
It's
Texas,
true,
like
true.
we're in the house and the AC isn't keeping up with the heat.
Yeah, the heat follows you.
Yeah,
Like it's
it's crazy.
it's just on you.
Right.
It's crazy. So back to we're trying to go in order here. So you had the I'm assuming have the conversation with your wife like this is
I
what
did.
I
I
want
did
to
out
do.
the math of what we were making, because we started, it was just her and I in the truck for about 8 months because it was only supposed to be her and I doing it one time a month. That was the agreement we had. She's like, okay, we can do this or you can do this,
Right.
but we're only going to do it once a month. And I said, no problem. I don't want to do it all the time. I don't want to be up all night on Friday, then slinging food on Saturday. And it didn't last very long that way. Yeah. I hired my first employee, which is a family, like a friend, and she was helping prep because I was working during the day. And I was a food broker at that time, so Fridays I would be doing like webinars and whatnot.
Right.
And I'd be prepping potato salad and trimming briskets and whatever.
This is for the food truck or when you were doing the driveway?
Food truck.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
I was about to say, damn, y'all doing potato salad
Because
and
we were
everything.
still we were still doing, and the food truck was, I don't want to say the same menu, but really a lot of the stuff hasn't changed.
Sure.
And then I hired another person to help me on the truck. And then I hired another person, and we were out there every Saturday, maybe every Friday, Saturday. And it just got to be too much. I mean, I was working for 2.5 years. It was 7 days a week. Sunday, I was coming home. I was on my hands and knees scrubbing the trailer, fixing anything that broke, all that stuff.
Shit always breaks.
It's awful. I mean, Lindsay and I, my wife, we'll just start going like down the rabbit hole of stories of like water tank get ripped off after we're filling up gas on the way to benchtop, and I'm in the middle of the road with my brisket knife cutting my water lines just to be able to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, blowout in the middle of 264 and getting the trailer towed and impounded for a weekend, and it was just BS stuff.
Yeah.
But you look back now and I can laugh about it.
Yeah.
I
But
wasn't
that type
laughing
of shit
back
will make
then.
people quit.
For sure.
Oh,
People will quit.
especially when you don't have $1 to your name.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You're doing this because you love it, and everything you make got reinvested because you're like, I just got to buy that,
Right.
just got a mortgage to pay. I mean, I took
Yeah.
$28,000 of my own money out of my savings to buy the trailer, to buy the box truck. And that's what it took to start the whole thing, which is very little to think about what I just took out in a loan with the property and to build out this third location.
Yeah.
But you do the math out and you say, okay, I
But
know
when it's
on a
all you
bad-
got, it's all you got.
Right.
That's why I didn't sleep for probably 7 months.
I'm sure.
The last year. I had a horrible Ambien addiction.
I could
and it didn't
believe
even work. That's the thing, because after a while, it doesn't even work.
Yeah.
So you're taking it because your mind's telling you that's the only way that you're going to get sleep. Your mind doesn't tell you, yeah, you get sleep maybe for an hour, and then you're wired.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting out there by yourself in your living room thinking about every bad thing that possibly is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
It was awful.
I bet.
I
These
mean,
are the stories that people don't see. They say, "Oh, he owns 3 restaurants.
Panic
He's
attacks.
got a nice."
Never had a panic attack in my life.
Right.
My wife woke up at 6 a.m. and I'm on the couch just going back and forth, sobbing.
Yeah.
Why? I couldn't even tell you, because I came in under budget. I had substantial amount of money still in my savings account. So nothing that really could have happened.
Yeah.
But your mind is a weird
Yeah,
place.
man.
For sure.
And I didn't have that in number 1 or number 2, because I think the fun was there still.
Yeah.
Right.
Number 3 was fun, but it was more of a business transaction.
Like a corporate, yeah.
You're looking at, okay, I'm buying an asset.
Yeah.
Right.
This is my, I have to go all in. Before I was going all in, but I was, late 30s. And, if I failed, I could go back. I could still go get a job. I could be a food broker. I could do any of that and go back to a very stress-free life.
Right.
We're not going to have to do that. And I know that now.
Right.
Yeah.
But just 5 months ago, when you would have asked me that, I would have been like, yeah,
I feel like
I'm
that's how
going
you
under.
know you're doing the right thing, though. And it sounds crazy, but if you're not making decisions that scare you that bad, you're not really reaching your full potential.
It's like, but you can't explain these things to your psyche.
Right.
Because like when
you
when big
can't.
numbers get, like, people don't, like, when big numbers get thrown out to you, your brain is trying to deal with that.
And it's
you try
not
to
just-
process it all at
right.
one time. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Well, it's not even just the number. It's more of, I got to a point towards the end of it where I made myself believe that if I let it all go and it didn't work out and I chose just, because I was approached by a real estate company to buy the whole property and everything. And this was like 3 days after we moved our smokers in, which was like do or die point. I mean, the building was practically done.
right.
The smokers were the last thing, because as soon as I moved them out of Norfolk, that I had to start operating that next week to get the money keep coming in.
Right.
Because we ran for a month out of Suffolk without opening Suffolk, because we were just trying to get, we figured, well, let's learn the delivery part, right? That part. And it took us that long, and then we could train our people and all that stuff. So they reached out, and I told the lady, she called about the back parcel, which is like 1.5 acres. And I was like, well, this is like 2 months before we were finished. And I said, we could talk about that, but what about buying the entire thing? She's like, the entire thing? What do you mean? I was like, the entire property. She's like, even with the restaurant that's ready to open? I was like, yeah. I was like, here's the number of what my loan is. If you're willing to give me that number,
Right.
it's yours. And I'll just go back to Norfolk. And this is how you know it was bad. I'm like, I'm not too proud to tell people that I couldn't do it, right? Thinking about that, a younger Bob would have kicked that Bob's ass.
Yeah.
Right.
Because no, we are too proud, right? We ain't going to fail. There's no plan B. It's only plan A.
Right.
And I led myself to believe that was okay.
What do you think was the root cause of that? Like, where did that stem from? Because you already had
So-
massive success.
Yeah, dude, I don't, and that's the weird part. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was,
Like, when I moved out here, I'm looking, like, my original passion with food is barbecue. So when I moved out here, like, I was like, there's no good barbecue spots. And you're the first, everybody was talking about. I worked for, like, auto finance. So I would visit all the car dealerships in 757. Everybody said that you got to go to your spot. So, like, you were doing well.
Right.
Like, I don't know how well you were doing, like, in the grand scheme of things, but public perception.
we were kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah,
And-
public
and-
perception was you're the
Well,
one.
here's I think this is where it really took the turn for the worst, is when I felt like I had to be on site daily amongst
that
the
feeling.
contractors. I think that's where it took the really turn for the worst, because things weren't being done right. We were on schedule. We were on schedule.
Contractors
We
will
were on
fuck you
schedule.
too.
We were on schedule, and then it got to a point where that time that we had until the end was getting smaller, like substantially smaller, quicker. And I'm sitting there saying, "Oh, well, we're not on schedule." Like when that light switch flipped of like, we're not on schedule anymore. And I didn't see them moving any faster
Right.
or with any more care. And that's
No
so
sense of urgency.
Yeah.
I felt I had to be on site, and I think that really, because all I saw was negativity.
Yeah.
On site of a construction job is the worst place to be ever.
And they're always like, well, yeah, I got some bad news. The thing, the
Every
such
day.
and such is this,
Every
the
day.
such and
3
such is
days
that.
in.
This is fucked up.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you this, but your plumbing's
They got
all
no good
jacked
news.
up. It's like, fuck.
3
like,
days in,
I bought a
we
lemon.
got hit with our first
Yeah.
change order.
Yep.
3 days into construction, into renovation, $73,000 change order.
Yep.
That was almost 2/3 of my contingency. So my contingency was $116,000. I had in my mind when I picked that number, I was probably going to come out of pocket another 50 grand. That's what I thought
Yeah.
of just contingencies, like, oh shits, right?
Yeah.
Things just happened. And 73 grand 3 days in.
Yeah. I believe.
So that 3 days in was already starting off.
Right.
And we're dealing with a building that's been there forever. I knew I was going to run into problems. I mean, everything, I didn't think it would be that bad because we changed everything. I mean, everything's brand new. Every plumbing, every electric, everything's new. But when I had to be on site, I saw so many corners being cut.
yeah.
And it wasn't living
That's
up
where
to
they
what
make
I
their
thought
margins.
the dollar meant, right? And to them, it was, it's no $1,000 fix. Oh, this is $1,000. No, these are 10,000. Everyone. Before you know it, you're like, are you joking? I mean, is this really like? I had conversations in our super that was assigned to us. Him and I, he was just one of those old contractors that wants to retire, and it was just miserable. Miserable.
I've been doing this for so
Yeah,
long.
so
I've
long,
seen-
right?
Trust
And then
me.
he
I-
it's brutal. And then every they have subs for everything, and we're trying to cost engineer.
Then
it.
God forbid you got to order some shit. Should take 2-3 extra weeks to come in,
Yeah.
bro. I
So
just went
that's
through it.
where I think it really got bad because I was around the nose and the we can't do this and all the time, and I haven't been around that, right? I'm around barbecue. I'm around people that are coming and enjoying what. Like I needed to see a smiling face.
Yeah.
As soon as we opened that door and we had some smiling faces, it got better.
Yeah.
Once I got them off the job, it got better.
Right.
Is it the best probably decision I ever made doing what I did? Probably. It's still, the wounds are still too fresh to really wholeheartedly say yes.
Right. Yeah.
But now I have something that I know is mine that nobody can come in. No one. The government can because they're going to and tell you what to do. But I don't have to ask permission. I don't have to submit plans to a landlord or anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't have to have them say, well, we're not going to renew your lease. So the potential's there.
Right.
And I saw this one as a business acquisition. The restaurant was paying for the property.
Sure.
And 3+ acres over in the Harborview area of Suffolk that's growing up. I thought
it's
10
gonna
years from
keep
now, because when
growing,
I
too.
signed my name on that line
Yeah, you made a good
last
decision.
March, I said, okay, that's my 10-year plan right there.
Right.
For sure.
10 years, I want to have my loan paid off.
That area is gonna be the next
Yeah, they're building it up every single day right now.
Virginia Beach Town Center.
So you feel like the fight and the battle that you're going through now to get this spot, is it the same fight and passion that you had from going from like a food truck to opening the first location? Or do you just feel like
It
it's
was
like
different. Well, no,
the
it's
stakes are
very, it
higher.
is very similar because I'll tell you, the customer base out in Suffolk, there's a lot of them that just had no clue who we were.
yeah.
And that's what we had when we went from food truck to a brick and mortar.
right.
So
That's probably actually a good thing for you because no offense to Suffolk, but there's not like a ton of phenomenal spots
at all
to eat.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
you're right.
if I want a good bite to eat, like it's slim pickings.
For sure.
People are traveling.
There's a handful
from
of spots.
Suffolk
Yeah, for sure. It's a handful.
to other places. So not only
Probably
are
the
you
most
in a place
reputable.
that's going to continue to grow from like a property value perspective, but you're also I'm not gonna call it a desert. It's growing. There's good places to eat, but like
it's not
You're-
really though.
yeah, they're
Because the ones that you have this time, and what I try to hang my hat on is really consistency.
right.
We might not be the best you've ever had, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, but we're gonna be
But-
damn good every time.
Every time you come in, it's gonna be the same. So if you
Yeah.
think that's the best, great. If you think it's good enough to get you back, I'm fine with that too.
Right.
Just know that we're always trying to be better.
Yeah.
And the next time, it better be the same. And if it's not, I always tell people, I tell randoms in line, oh, this is my first time. I was like, well, my name's Bob. I'm the owner. That's Floyd. That's Milena. These are all my team members, right? My management team. So you're going to see them everywhere. If ever you have a bad experience,
Right.
I expect you to come and say something to us.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way we're going to change that, right? We got to have
And
that
preferably
dialogue.
come tell me and not go to Google reviews
There you
and
go.
leave me a fucking 2-star because
There you
I
go.
ran out of napkins at your table or
Yes,
some shit.
yes. But hey, we need those too because we got to have a laugh every once in
Yeah.
a while.
They're out
And-
there.
and we
Yeah.
we like to kind of flip that on our social media too and do like love letters and
seen that.
we try to have fun with it because
Yeah.
in the end we're real people.
Yeah.
Right? In the end I have feelings. Whether I want to be this all big, I'm a man. I have feelings, right? If my team and I'm there and I see how hard they work, and you want to come in and you want to give a 1 star and then just say, "Oh, your food tastes like an ashtray," you're more than welcome. I mean, I try to put content out there that shows you the day in the life of what we do, like real what we do.
Yeah.
And you're more than welcome. I mean, there's a sign, pit tours available. If you want to go in hey, can I saw that you showed the walk-in cooler this morning on your Facebook Live. I don't believe that was your walk-in cooler. Can I go take a look? Yeah, no problem. Come on in. I want people to know what we do.
Yeah.
Right.
But the I don't want to say ignorant people, but they're just
Miserable.
not-
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
almost always unhappy humans. Like,
Well, and then you got this, right?
Yeah.
This right here makes everybody an expert.
right.
Everybody got an opinion. Everybody got
And
something
And
to
everybody-
say.
that might be their only chance to like feel like they did something today.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I typed up this
At
3-paragraph review.
Yeah.
Like, you're a fucking food expert.
No profile picture, just a
Yeah.
random
I
comment.
don't even read reviews. Now my director of operations,
I gotta stop. I've been
sends them to me
agonizing
if
over
there's
mine.
something that she feels that I need, like to reach out on my own or an email or something like that. But I swore that off like a year and a half. Actually, no, it was longer than that. It was when the Facebook page, Facebook page during COVID came out of like the local places to eat at, right?
Yeah.
And that page was just kind of a joke. It was all people vying for like plugging their own crap.
Sure.
And I'm like, I canceled all that stuff, and I was like, I'm just, if you want to read them, you're more than. And I've had to have talks with my team. Like, don't even waste your time.
Yeah.
Because so I was just down in Houston. We were talking about your trip coming up, and I was down there beginning of April cooking at the Houston Barbecue Festival. And I get people all the time. This ain't Texas barbecue. Okay, fine.
Sure.
Right? Again, I'm not here to convince you. I just know that where I go to quote unquote train or learn is Texas. And these are the best people you're going to learn from, right?
Right.
Your buddy Leo, Ernest with Burnt Bean. But so we were down at the festival, and I was talking to Ernest and Dave, and those are owners of Burnt Bean, which is probably going to be the #1 on Texas Monthly when it comes out. And
Yeah, and he's a god in the barbecue competition
these guys
circuit.
are like phenomenal. I mean, James Beard winners,
You
Michelin
can't-
star
yeah.
now with the. So I was talking to Dave, and I had a 45-minute conversation about reviews, and I asked him, I was like, "How do you do it?" And he's like, "We get the same. He gets the same reviews we get. The line's too long. You're too expensive." Right? You're going to a Michelin star restaurant. Yes, it's barbecue.
Right.
But that's what it is, right? And
Yeah.
I can see there's 400 people in front of me. How long do you think that's going to be?
Sure. And also, like, in another Michelin star restaurant, you might just can't get a reservation ever.
Exactly.
At least you got the opportunity to stand
Yep.
in line and come try this shit out.
Right.
Like, most places, if you go to a spot in New York that's a Michelin star restaurant, you may never get a reservation.
Maybe 6 months
Well,
to
and
a
then
year.
if you
yeah.
do, then what is your check at the end of that meal?
$600 sometimes.
There you go.
Yeah.
But you're paying for that experience. We got this star because it's consistently good.
Yeah.
You want this food, right?
But it's a lot. Everybody has the same conversations, right? Everybody in this game that really cares about what they do, I think realizes that you're not going to. You said it earlier. You're just not going to please everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other issue that comes is like once you do work your ass off to develop this big name and everybody's saying it's amazing, you got this great reputation. Now everybody that's coming there has these super high expectations. It's like, oh, it was cool, but it wasn't what everybody says. It wasn't all that. Like, God,
it's hard to live up to the hype.
And that's the thing. It's like, what did you? And we even had reviews. Oh, they just fed the hype. And I'm like, I don't know what you're thinking. Do you think we just strategically sit up at night being like, hey, I'm going to invite 500 people out tomorrow just to convince this one passerby, right? Yeah. No, come on now. Like, I didn't tell these people to come out, right? And yes, would I be let down if I waited 3 hours? I don't know. I've waited 6 hours in a line before for barbecue for Franklin's. I got there at 5:30 in the morning for 11 o'clock opening. And it was great because you know why? I met people from all over the country in line. Right. We were eating breakfast tacos. The person behind me had a cooler of beer. It was the party. Yeah. Right? I was told when I wanted to open up Norfolk, I wanted to do what Franklin's did. They have this bin that has all these old camping chairs. And while you're waiting, you just pull out a chair. You know, there might be 50 of them. Everybody's like, I was telling them that when we were going to open Norfolk, and everybody's like, what are you talking about, line? Like, there's no line around here. And I'm like, yeah, but everywhere I go, and the people I look up to, that's what they have. So that's what we're going to create. Right. And everybody's like, you're just dumb. I'm like, maybe I am. If I'm doing this, maybe I am dumb. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, you create something and you have a way of service. Right. That allows us, I mean, we don't have a dining room with 500 seats, 400 seats. I don't seat tables of 4. That's just not what we do, right? So the line to me is like a filled dining room to somebody else. Right.
What I love about the barbecue concept is like, I know I can buy this amount of brisket, and if we sell out, we sell out. If we're done, we're done. Right. Like you can't, like but in another restaurant, if you're out of some shit, customers are furious. Oh yeah. I love that, like, and if I run out of brisket, it's like, damn, I missed it.
I got to get back here.
But early. If you go to a restaurant that you wanted to visit to like sit down for dinner and they don't have the lamb chops today, it's like, this motherfucker don't have lamb chops. Right. Like I love that. It's like almost you kind of like flip the script on the barbecue concept.
Well, I like the freshness of it too.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. We're cooking today.
And it's kind of expected. Like if you're a barbecue snob, you know what it's like. You've kind of probably watched some videos. You've seen Texas barbecue where there's lines. Like in Virginia, honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a line for barbecue outside of Texas or your spot.
If you go to Richmond, in Richmond, there's my friends Chris and Alex own ZZQ.
When did they open?
They're a Texas barbecue place, and they have lines.
I'm from Richmond.
Okay, I went up there and visited after they told me about it.
Are they? So they got to be kind of new, right?
We're right in the same. We're in the same.
6 years ago. How long did they open?
They opened. I think they've probably been open 7 years.
Okay,
I think they just so. They were doing pop-ups while I was in a food truck. Great people, great little atmosphere. Very Truth-esque with the new Truth in Houston with that bar. Yeah. But they have the same, and I modeled ours after it, but I model it after pretty much any barbecue place that I enjoy. You know, the visible pit room to where you can dine, and theirs they have like an outdoor courtyard so you can see the pit room while you eat. Cool setup.
Nice. I had to check it out. Yeah, born and raised in Richmond. But I left when I was like
Scott's Edition is
22,
That's
23.
Yeah,
for sure.
I went and visited after y'all told us about it. That's the only reason I found out about it. I went and visited after that.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. So it sounds like 3 is the biggest pain in your ass of the 3 that you've done.
Well, I think it was. I just dawned on me. I think about a month ago that I didn't just open up 3. I really kind of opened up 3 and 4 at the same time. And it's something I didn't think about, but, you know, we moved our whole production kitchen from one location to another and then added on additional new equipment, new bodies. So we really added on, we built out basically a commissary, a commercial, like, central kitchen.
Nice.
So there was really a couple things going on at one time. And I think I was just so jaded with we're opening up a restaurant. Yeah. It's not that the chaos comes from back of the house. And that's what I've realized too with this, because as soon as we pulled out of Norfolk, when I go back to Norfolk, I'm like, wow, this is boring. There's nothing going on back here.
Yeah. Right.
Like the kitchen is the excitement. And so it's kind of wild that, you know, you kind of learn new things kind of dawn on you.
what I was kind of getting at is like it doesn't sound like 1 to 2 was that painful. So you opened your first one, great, it did really well. Then you opened your second one, that was just a seamless.
Mind you, we were open 6 months and then COVID hit. The first one.
Okay.
So I would say really well is there was definitely some bumps in that road because we had many meetings. It was me and my 2 managers of like, hey, are we gonna make payroll this week?
Yeah.
And the managers stepped up and said, well, I could just maybe get a little bit less. We didn't have to.
Sure.
I'm a number guy. Being a food service director for a large hospitality company, I mean, P&Ls is what you live and die by. And to this day, I still preach the same thing. It's all about numbers. It's data. We do inventories weekly at all of our locations. I want to know my food costs, my labor costs. We do monthly P&Ls. I need to know. If I didn't know that, I'd be kind of driving in the dark.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was so break evens were a big thing back then because
P&L is profit and loss for those of you out there that
sorry.
don't.
Yeah. But the break even number, like figuring out what your break even is before you open up and say, okay, well, with all my, my rent and my food costs running at whatever percentage you want to pick, labor running whatever your target labor is going to be, you need to know what your break even is. And that's kind of what I always would sit there and say, okay, because it was always a game to me. Are we winning or are we losing?
Sure.
And break even was those things where I never wanted to take money out of my pocket. And to this day, I probably count on one hand out of all my locations where week in and week out I've had to dip into a bank account for anything that we weren't just profitable.
Yeah. That's amazing.
The magic's in the numbers.
It's the education that you had.
Yeah.
And I think that's why food service gets such a bad rap because everybody's told that they make the best turkey or the best mashed potatoes from their family members, from their best friends. No shit, it's free.
Yeah.
They love you.
Most of them are lying. They're lying to you.
They love you, right?
I've had shit I made that I knew didn't turn out right. And people are like, oh, this is great. Like,
and you know what? And there was a point, maybe today is not the point in our economic weirdness we have in the world, but maybe, there's a point where you could have went and got 50 grand from the bank. Now, given you had to maybe put up your car or your house or whatever, and there's a lot of dumb people out there. There are.
Now that's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one of them. I went, the first loan I paid off was for, I think for Norfolk, I borrowed $325,000 and it was only me. My consultant wanted in on it, but I didn't want to have to give. I was more afraid that if it didn't work, I would have been now taking somebody's money and not giving it back.
Yeah.
Right.
And that doesn't set well for me. Right. So, if I'm going to make it, great, I want to make it. If I'm going to lose it, great, I want to lose it. Nobody's coming with me. Right. So if, the bank said, okay, yeah, we can do it for you. So that's kind of how if I can't pay for it now, if I can't get it, we're just not getting it right now.
It's a good way because you don't have to pass down the burden of the hardships that may come, and you also, if you're massively successful, you get to keep all of it.
That's always hope, right? Right. It's weird because when you're in that situation, that's not the thing that comes to my mind anyways. I'm not thinking, well, when I make it, I'm going to be, I don't want to give anybody money. Some guy would come up on the side of the road and be like, oh, you got $10? Yeah, here's 20. Yeah. Right? Money is not why I do this.
Right.
I didn't grow up. Like I said, I was picking rocks in the field. I didn't grow up with money. Right. And, money is cool, but then you have to figure out what the hell to do with the money. And that's almost like another job.
That's a whole nother thing.
It is. And, it's somebody thinks that like, oh, that's just easy. Yeah. No, it's not just easy.
What I was I guess my point with that was like, I've experienced through other people that I know, and even myself in certain instances where, let's say you do have partners, normally somebody's doing more work than the other partners.
Yes.
So like you may feel like I'm the reason why this business is making money, but we're getting an equal split. Right. You know what I mean? Like
there's got to be resentment. I don't have that.
You don't have
anybody.
to. That's what I was getting at. It's like you don't like freeing yourself of that, because that's inevitable.
Yeah.
If there's a partnership, like almost never does every single partner pull their own weight like across the board. That's the issue. And I've had, not so much with my new venture, but I've had ventures in the past where I felt like, damn, these people are just making money off of me, and I'm getting the same share as them, and they're at home chilling.
For sure. Yeah.
So you're getting beat up at work already.
Yeah.
And then now it's eating at you that
Yep.
you're getting used, basically,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that
It
can be
happens
fun.
a lot. And I've heard a lot of stories from other people that, like, I've seen, like, I've had friends that have had, you know, businesses or restaurants that kind of broke up and their partnerships fell apart because of those kind of dynamics. So it's nice to just have your own thing.
Well,
where
and
it's
most
like,
of the times you
sink or
go
swim is
in
me.
with like friends, right?
Usually.
Which money is going to be the divider
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Because everybody deal with it differently.
and how fun is that? Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, we were cool at one time, and now I
Right.
don't ever want to see you. Or now you get somebody moves out of the town because they don't want to be associated with you or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I want to make a decision, there's no sitting around a table and pitching my idea. Now, I do run Redwood that way, where I make very few decisions on my own, because I want to hear what everybody has to say, because now I
Right.
have a team of intelligent people.
And that's smart too, because even if they're not intelligent, like you can learn something from somebody that don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
they may say something that spark an idea that's, you should always hear people out at least. And I think that's a very smart, business tactic, is to at least consult the people that are working with you. They're also the boots on the ground that are dealing with the customers every single day.
Correct.
They hear
I
the
think it
little
just makes them
tidbits.
feel like they are almost vested in this business.
That's
and
the
this
other thing.
outcome.
They feel like they got skin in the game
Yes.
now that, like you said, like people come up to other people and ask, are they the owner? Because
Yep.
they're treating it
Community,
like
though. Most things is
Bro,
community with a job.
There's one
More so
thing
than-
that
100%.
you cannot teach or train: caring.
No.
I have to, like, my biggest thing with my restaurant is, like, I need to find more people that care. There's so many times I'm just sitting there, I'm like, how many times you can walk past that fucking straw on the floor?
Yep.
Like, you see the straw.
Right.
There's no way you don't see it. You just don't care enough to pick it up.
Right.
You're too good to pick it up. That's crazy to me. Like, just
But then when the second you stop and you bend over to pick it up
Yeah.
and you throw it away, somebody's right up your ass, being like, "Oh, I was gonna get that."
Yeah.
I'm like,
I just
"No,
watched
can
you
just
not
can
pick
you
it
just
up."
leave me alone? Like, now I'm just gonna go around and I'm gonna do it all
Yeah.
for the next 30 minutes, right?
Yep.
And then I'm gonna go and find the manager and I'm gonna say, "Hey, you
That's
know
all
what?
I preach. Like, anytime we have like a pre-shift or something, like, you want to say anything, like, sure. I'm just looking for people that care today.
Right.
Yeah,
I feel like
what I
y'all got
wanna
that a
see.
lot at Redwood. Like, I feel like everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
Everybody believes in
They're
the mission.
proud to work there.
Right.
We
Everybody
try to
believes in the
have
mission
It
for
helps
sure.
to know that you're the baddest motherfucker in town too.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that helps. That boosts
Playing
the
for a
morale.
winning team
yes.
definitely helps.
Yeah.
Well,
Playing for
see,
the-
the food truck
for sure.
started out of fun. I mean,
Yeah.
that's legit why this business started, and it's still to this day, minus the stint of building that third location out. It's about having fun, and if that's one thing that I can get my team to do is act like me when I was on the food truck,
Yeah.
we'd be winning left
Yeah.
and right.
Yeah.
And people came out just to have fun for the food truck.
Right.
It was the food, but I mean, we would joke with people. We had a megaphone that we would pick on people with while they're waiting for food. It was just kind of like it was a different
An experience.
It was-
And
That's
you're
what
building a
exactly
food
connection.
should be.
You're building a
Yes.
connection.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
If you're just like, oh, what sides you want with that?
Yeah.
Oh, do you want that here to go? You just become every single
Chipotle.
place. Yes.
Yeah, you might as well go to Chipotle.
Yeah.
And, like, what I love about barbecue culture too is, like, people, like, it's like almost like it's a culture. Like, people that are, like, really into it understand it. You know what I mean?
That's
Yeah.
why I like
So the-
sending my
They got their own
team-
words.
So
yeah.
the
Texas,
customer
because
base.
I'm not trying to steal anything from their ideas. What I'm trying to get my team to know, and when I go, I do, I try to do a lot of video too, because it's the barbecue culture. We
Yeah.
call it the community.
Yeah.
And it really runs through people's veins.
Yes.
I mean, they'll work 4 days straight with no sleep to conquer the best brisket in the world.
Yeah.
they would have no problem giving up a week of their free time
Yeah.
to put out that best bite.
Yeah.
That's how they reward. That's how they're rewarded.
But what I love most about it is like the customer base, even kind of like not all of them obviously, but a fair percentage of them get that. Like they understand. They watch probably barbecue YouTube
It's a
videos.
Texas thing, yeah. When
They
you-
watch
yeah.
the shit on Netflix. Like they're into it.
Well, there's
Yeah.
festivals just like there's festivals
Just for barbecue. Yeah.
It's like being a fan of a rock band.
Yeah, like
Like,
I'm
you're right.
here,
You know what I'm
I'm
saying? Like-
traveling
like
to
Grateful
taste
Dead,
this
like, it's like-
barbecue. Like
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like other than that, like at regular restaurants, it's like people are just here, like impress me. I'm just gonna sit here and I want you to do whatever you can do.
And then if you ask where they're from, I'm from Chesapeake.
Yeah.
You know, or I'm from Norfolk. You don't get people like we get people. I had one person when we opened up in Suffolk, and we get it all the time. Oh, I just traveled 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right, to get your food. You know, I was talking to a husband and wife this Saturday, and he got our beef rib, and he was like, "Yeah, we moved up here from Houston. We used to go to Truths, you know, all the time, and you know, we got to say that you know, we traveled. I was an hour and a half, and we'll be back."
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, great. We had a couple. It was a whole family. They came up on a Friday. We sold out. It was right the first week we opened. We sold out early. They didn't get to us in time, so they got the hotel right next door. Spent the night to be first in line on that Saturday.
Barbecue is a
That
wonderful
is
thing.
culture.
Yeah,
That
for
is-
sure.
That's
Yeah.
what you're going
That's
for.
what you do when you go to fucking Rolling Stones
Yep.
back in the day. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna get these fucking tickets. I'm gonna like even sneaker culture, like anything that has that kind of like cult
Right.
following.
It's beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's something that you don't have to create.
Yeah.
It just naturally happens.
Yeah.
It's very American too. Like most other cuisines or like niches aren't like they could be like barbecue's like very
Well, barbecue now is starting to go overseas, and there's
Yo, for
there's-
sure.
There's
Yeah.
definitely. I got a buddy, Bill Dumas, is sausage sensei. He's a crazy guy.
It's a great
But
name.
he's traveling.
I thought Rhino was a sausage sensei.
Oh, but he went over. He was doing a month-long classes over in Australia, and now he's doing all these different meat stock, different things throughout Europe right now. And I'm just like, when I started this 8.5 years ago, I mean that just didn't exist.
Right.
And these are people that I were always thanks to YouTube. We're always put up on a pedestal. Like
Yeah.
I just, and now these are people that I can call right now and say, hey, I got a question about my grind. Hey, this sausage was loose, right? These are now people that are acquaintances, friends.
Right.
Because
That's the
if you just
craziest
show,
part.
if you just show, it's weird. Locally, you go up to another chef and they look at you and they're
I'm not gonna
like,
give
I
you
don't want to
this.
talk to
Yeah,
you.
I don't wanna
right?
tell you,
Like
yeah.
your competition. These people that are Netflix and
Give
all
you
this,
everything.
They don't even
Yeah.
because what do they got to worry about? Because they already know the one secret to this is heart, and they know not everybody has it.
Right.
Yeah.
So if they know that they could help me along, that's what they're doing. They're trying to. They love this cuisine so much.
They can talk about it
that
at
they
any time.
want it. They want
yeah.
it to be more than what it is.
Right.
I've
Where-
said that from the beginning with like the online stuff too. It's like I'll tell you exactly how I did everything I did because
Right.
one, I'm pretty sure that most people aren't going to have like
Less than
the
a percentage.
discipline to go through and do all of that stuff.
Right.
And if you do, you fucking deserve it.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
If you can execute everything that like you can go to somebody in Texas, they tell you exactly like you got to stay up for 18 hours tonight. You got to do this. Is the like most people are like, oh yeah, fuck that. I'm gonna go do
I'm gonna
something
go buy it
else.
somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
But
sure.
if you have the balls and the discipline to do all of these things
Right.
and then you're successful, you fucking earned it.
Well, back in my beer brewing, and I was, any hobby I get, I just go down this rabbit hole and I go 100%.
Start
Same.
learning everything
Hobbies
about
typically
it.
don't
Yeah.
just become hobbies.
That's why I don't golf.
Well,
Yeah.
and I just started back up because I used to run a private country club.
Yeah.
That was my first job out of college.
don't
I
need
worked
any
there as a
more-
banquet server, worked my way up to event coordinator, then food and beverage director. And, so 24, I was running this private
Yeah.
Jewish club in Syracuse. But I got so golfed out. And I joined a club last year. And now I'm trying to get back into it. and it's I already can see myself going. I got a appointment set up for like beginning of June to get fitted for brand new clubs. And, you know, I'm already down.
Who's the best trainer right now?
Right. So, but beer brewing was that way, and I was consuming every piece of content because I didn't grow up around that type of setting, so I didn't really know beer brewing. And one episode that sticks in my mind, the guy said 10% is brewing the beer, 90% is running the business. Right? You're not going to get very far if you can't run a business.
Right.
And I feel that I've kind of, in my 25 years of graduating college and being in food service, I think I've got a pretty good understanding of both sides of the coin, being a food broker, which was dealing with distributors and contracts and all this other stuff.
Right.
And then doing the service side, you know, Chick-fil-A's and all that type of stuff. And that's kind of why I like Texas barbecue too, because it is, without me changing it, it is that QSR model.
Yeah.
It's that quick serve. And it really, my attention span's so small, and I'm just constantly like going. That just works well for kind of who I am. I wouldn't be able to do a sit-down restaurant. The way I am,
It's a pain in the
it wouldn't
ass.
work. I don't sit
I'll
still.
let you know.
I think so much of what you did prior to, like, you know, starting the food truck just like molded you to the business. That like you were ready. You were ready, made to go. You knew the numbers, how to work them. It's just like one of those things we talk about on the channel, is like making it happen. There's so many things that's working out in your favor before you even know.
Well, if you're an entrepreneur, right, you're just kind of born that way. I really believe
I
that,
think
and a
so
lot
too.
of people
Yeah,
that I
100%.
follow that I really respect, they say the same thing. I mean, I was slinging candy on my school bus, right? I'd go down to my grandmother's, I'd take all my change, I'd go to the corner store, I'd buy the melon heads and all this other different lemon drops and all this other stuff. And did I get in trouble? Yeah. Did my parents not like having to get called in school because I'm slinging, but they were the ones bringing me to the damn candy store. Right. So you know what? I mean, hey, be mad if you want, but I'm trying. I'm a hustler here, right? Baseball cards. I mean, that was back before it was cool.
Yeah.
Slinging all that stuff. So, I mean, I've always been that way. I never thought it would get me to kind of where I am.
Right.
And it's strange because I don't walk around daily being like, oh, I'm an owner.
Right.
I walk around every day like I got to get up and I got a goal today.
Yeah.
I got a to-do list. I got a job.
That's what separates successful people in the business space from everybody else, is that you've never made it. Success isn't a destination.
No.
It's like you're never going to feel like, open my second one today. I'm good.
I'm
good
done.
forever.
I'm
Yeah,
done.
hang it up.
I'm just going to hang it up.
Do you ever feel like, and I already know the answer because everybody asks the same answer. Do you ever feel guilty? Guilty in when you're at your location, right? Or if you're doing the shipping or whatever, and you have an employee. Do you ever feel guilty when you leave, whether it's you're leaving early to go play golf, whether you're leaving to go to a doctor's appointment, whether you're leaving because you got another meeting, right? Do you ever feel guilty that your employees are like looking at you like you need to be the first here and the last here?
Yeah.
I feel that way. Like I don't want any of my employees to think that they're outworking me. Now they don't know that I'm doing something at 8:00 at night, right? They don't need to know. They don't know that I didn't sleep last night because I was trying to come up with a new, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I always feel.
Yeah, for sure. I feel bad that I'm not at the restaurant right now. Like before we sat down, I'm looking at the numbers. Like, we should probably cut a couple people. It's a little slower today. Like, I'm constantly
That's music to my ears right there.
Like
that's music to my ears. I love
constantly
that
on. Like, and I think that's just the personality that you kind of got to have to last. Because if not, if you're one of those people that just don't really care that much,
it's going to show, I think, right?
Also, you're not going to last very long. Like eventually you're going to fall on your face. Because if you don't care, it's hard to win unless you got people that underneath you that just are rock stars, or like you got partners or something.
Well, but then where did they get the drive? Because if they didn't get it from you, You know, I mean, we every time that we have an interview with somebody that's like management or upper management, the first thing that my director of operations and I say, we look at each other, and it's the first thing we tell people: we're difficult. That's who we are. We strive for the best. We know we're not going to hit it.
Yeah.
But we're difficult. So if you really can't have that expectation on your shoulders, it's probably not the spot for you.
So earlier you said something that intrigued me because this is an opportunity I think I could do better in. You said that you think that you hire people really, you do a good job of hiring people. When you go to or go through the process of hiring somebody, what is it that you think you do a good job of, or like how do you get to the point where you hire the right people?
Well, I know how demanding I am.
Yeah.
And I know also what I'm looking for in somebody, because I'm hiring an attitude. I'm hiring a personality, right? I'm hiring somebody that can, take criticism without making an excuse to make them feel better.
Accountability.
Right? I'm very, and everybody relates it back because I came from New York, right? I came from upstate New York. This ain't New York City, folks, right? But I'm really to the point.
Right.
Because I don't have time to screw around. I don't want somebody to screw around with me. Like, if you don't like something that I'm doing, just tell me. Why do we got to have a 45-minute conversation to get down to the point that, you know what, I'm wearing the wrong pants today?
Yeah. You know the dress
Just
code.
go right to it, right? But I'm hiring a personality. I'm hiring an attitude. I can't change your attitude. I just can't.
Yep.
And I can teach you what we need you or what I need you to do. I've been trained by some of the best, I think, to, take somebody with very little skill and teach them a skill. Would I want to hire the complete package? Of course, right? It's less work for me. But, Redwood is not Chick-fil-A. Redwood is not Thompson Hospitality. Redwood is not Purdue and ConAgra, right? I mean, those are the people I learned from. So, I know what we are supposed to be. And it's all about attitude. And if I don't think that you can sit around this couch and have a great time and laugh a joke and have a beer, or, when time gets tough, gets tough and we got to go out to like the smash room or whatever, and I don't want to invite you because I might hit you in the head with the bat rather than that old VCR.
Right.
And why would I want you on my team?
And at work, you're around your coworkers more than your family.
100%.
Most of the time.
And I'm trusting. This is like my newborn baby.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think a restaurant or any business ever becomes an adult, right? Because they can never think on their own. Somebody has to constantly care for them.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm giving my newborn baby to every one of these people. Right. So, that they're also going to then mold that
good
newborn
way to explain
baby, right? And we have, coming from the food truck was successful because, like you said, we made it an experience in our little 8x10 box that we would tow place to place. And that's why Norfolk, every time I opened this third one, I even had this conversation with my manager before we opened. I said, there's one thing that I'm nervous about. How do I recreate the atmosphere?
That is usually the sticking point or the tough part about restaurants that open up multiple locations.
Keeping the culture the same.
Just keeping that same vibe.
Because, you can buy reclaimed wood.
Yeah.
You can get your mural person, your graffiti artist to tag a wall.
Yeah.
But how do you get just the feel? Because that's the other thing that really screwed me up during the build out when I was there every day. Back to I needed to see a smiling face. It was dead. The building had no life. Right. If you put a pulse on it, you're checking pulse, there was none to it.
Right.
And that was month after month of just me there, and it was dead.
You can't even really see it until it's ready. No. You know what I mean?
And I couldn't even, I'm like, wow, I went through that what it's going to be, I'm not going to be happy. Right. And I think I started really working myself into like this tizzy of like going down this weird path of like, oh, it's never going to be alive. People are never going to like it. But it's just kind of, I guess, who we are as a business. And, you know, when we open up, are the things that we still need to do, final touches, you know, neon signs that I want to get done and things like that. Yeah, there are. But walking around and talking to customers, I feel as if some of the ones that get it, truly do get it, and those are the ones I care about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the ones I know will
be back every Friday.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
That's who you need.
Yes. It's weird out in Suffolk because we're on a main road. You know, there's 38,000 cars a day in front of that building. And we're talking about legit in front of the building. Norfolk and Virginia Beach, they're in these hidden pockets.
Yeah, you
where
gotta go get it.
if you're going there, you got to know it's there. Somebody had to tell you. So to start that, to grow that atmosphere is almost like somebody that told them to go there was also facilitating that growth. Where here, I mean, I'm just, my job now is to talk to people in the line.
Okay.
You know, I spend like 2-3 hours of my day standing right on the corner of that queue line. Everybody that comes in, I introduce myself. They usually tell me, it's my first time. I'm finding everybody's a first timer because I did the math before I went in on it, right? I knew I only needed 0.5% of those cars a day to stop. And it's a very little amount.
Right.
But you know what you get?
they're
You
in
get a
Suffolk.
lot
They
of
haven't
first
had- they haven't
timers.
had a good
Yeah.
You
meal
get a
in
lot of first
12
timers, right?
days.
And that first timer doesn't help with the vibe of the restaurant.
Right.
Your regulars. You know, I had that conversation with my manager who's been with me, and I always joke, he's been with me -3 months. So he was hired when we started building out Norfolk. So he's been with me since the get-go of like Redwood and a Brick and Mortar. And we had a conversation last week. And I was like, how do we build the regulars? And he's like, I don't know. I just really, you know, I miss that about Norfolk, and I really just would like to go back to that. I said, well, we just need to get out there and touch them. We need to get out there and do what we used to do. Right now, we're so concerned about running this machine
Right.
where we need to go back to basics.
Yeah.
You need to get on the cutting board. You need to joke around. You need to be the show. I need to be out here talking to these people.
And those first timers are going to become your regulars.
They
But
will.
that's the beauty of like the business operations that y'all have is y'all are the face. When you think of like who's the face of Hershey, the people who founded Hershey's been gone. But y'all got a business now that where you're the face. You can touch people. You can do those
People
things
can be
that
like,
don't
I
scale.
had the best brisket I ever had in my life, and I met the owner. He was so
right.
nice.
That's
He was,
very important. Yeah,
like
that'll
that
last.
shit speaks volumes. Like that's very important.
Well, I don't get that when I go out, right? You
Never.
may see a manager.
Yeah, never.
That's about
And they
it.
just give you this half-ass table touch, like, "Hey, I'm
Hey,
the manager. You
everything's
need
good?"
anything? Oh, hope everything's going well." And
Right.
Yeah.
You're out there like actually
Yeah,
talking. to people.
that's a very important way that y'all can impact the business is you being the face and still being around it.
Well, because I think our employees out there are still too new. Give them a couple years. If we have the same employees out front, visible,
Right.
then the people will start to recognize them. And that's one thing I try to do with social media too, is I try to be as up to date. I want people to know what we have today for a special. I want people to see who's working today.
Right.
That way, when they walk through, they're not
Here's
looking.
Jeff. I seen
I've
him
seen
on
you before.
Instagram.
Yeah, they're not looking exactly. It almost for a normal employee, and I remember how I was. Right, you almost feel like you're kind of a celebrity.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy just.
That's why the morale
he said
is
he
good.
saw me earlier on this thing, right? My wife, love her to death. She was the face of Redwood back when we started. Her
Right.
and I, right? She has her own career. She does her own. So she comes by when she wants to eat, or if we have like a special event, right? Which is great. Division. We enjoy seeing each other when we get home. We don't live it every second of every day.
Right.
She just did a video the other day, a partnership with Vogue Salon around here, where we're doing a giveaway. But she's in the video, and it launched this morning or today. But it was awesome because when she got home, she's like, "Yeah, I had to call Milena because my family doesn't have Instagram; they just have Facebook, and I got to have her to push it to Facebook so they can see the video." Like she was proud of it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like this is her being famous, right? She's in this video. But that's the cool. That's like, I'm like, wow. Because they wanted me to do that video.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I ain't getting my lashes permed or whatever the hell you did. But, you know, so she did it and she really loved it again. And it wasn't like she was forced to do it.
Right.
Right. She just wanted to do it. And now she's like, wow, it came out great. I want everybody that I know. She's like, yeah, Annie from my old job called me and said she saw me online today. And I'm like, that's great. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it just makes me happy that some other people find enjoyment in it.
For sure.
Because you know what? It's not just me. It takes an army. I'm not going to be around.
That's the right attitude, man.
I'm not going to be around
And I can
forever.
tell that you're not like some people just say shit like that, but I can tell that you really believe that, and that's probably why you're as successful as you are.
That's why I can. Now I don't like walking out, but I can walk out, go home at 3 o'clock,
Yeah.
go home at 5 o'clock, 7, whatever time it is. And I am I going to deal with something in the morning? Probably.
Always.
Right?
Yeah.
It might be I walk in and a chemical bottle is, you know, on a prep table because the utility person didn't put it back on the shelf, right? Am I going to make a note of that and get with the manager? For sure I am. But I know I'm not going to go in and be like, oh, that person just, you know, cussed out 15 customers and fought with another one of my employees and this and that. That just doesn't happen at Redwood.
Right.
It's just not. That's
You got the right
just
culture.
Not allowed.
Right.
Like people know that they just don't show up the next day if that
Yeah.
happens. I don't have to fire you. You just did it yourself.
Fired yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to the real meat and potatoes.
Sure.
What are outside of your restaurant, what are your favorite barbecue restaurants that you've ever had?
That
Maybe
I've
like
ever
a
been
top
to.
3, maybe top 5, whatever
Okay.
you feel comfortable
So
with.
probably number 1, if I'm going off from just the platter food, or what are we going off from here?
Just your personal favorite.
Okay, so if I'm going to go off from just food,
Yeah.
right? What that platter is. So the best that I've ever had is a food truck down in right outside of Houston, Rosemeyer's. I went there 2 years ago when I went to the Houston Barbecue Fest. Usually I land, my buddy that owns the spot picks me up. I stay with him the whole time. I'm helping him out at the festival, but we always hit up like one spot like that is on my list. So Rosemeyer's, the whole tray was just fire. I mean, it was just mind blowing. And the thing that kind of got me on their tray was the sausage, because sausage is so hard, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it's the casing. Like you got to get that snap, right? That snap.
Yeah.
And theirs was like glass. How they did it, I have no clue. To this day, I don't know. But now I know them, so
Yeah.
that will be a question that I ask.
I'm going to find out.
Right now, I can ask them that.
Yeah.
But it was just nothing missed, and it was just from the sides to the meat was phenomenal. I'm not really a bone-in chicken, like a chicken guy, but we took a trip to pick up a smoker down in Texas, and we stopped at Mimsy's, and their tray was really good, but their chicken was just fucking fire. I don't get it. I don't know how they did it, but that really stood out, so that was great. And probably number 3 would have to be, I think, going to Truth, because again, you watch all this stuff on YouTube about Leonard and kind of how he is, and he started his Brenham spot, which is a really small spot, and then he built out that location. So we went there. I was kind of in the like mindset of pulling all this information in of like what I wanted my next spot or my pie in the sky spot to be, and his just hit every single one of those. It's just such a cool atmosphere. He has a window, like when you walk in, you get in your queue line before you start. He's got that window right there that looks right into the pit room. That's amazing. People trim meats right there, so you kind of see it. I love the whole we're on stage aspect. And I always preach that to my team. That's kind of why we do how we do it, because we are on stage. We are the artist. And if you couldn't go up and do karaoke and you felt nervous, then you probably can't work at Redwood, right? You got to be just ready to kick ass and take
Be ready to slice that brisket.
You got to.
And that turkey. Truth turkey.
Truth turkey. Yeah, they got a bad motherfucking turkey.
Truth was
that hooked me. The turkey.
Yeah. Yep. And he does some whole hog stuff.
Yeah.
which I want to start getting into. Not that I really like the end result. It's not my favorite, but I like the process.
I
of
tell
it.
people that all the time too. Like, it's because you could, if you cook them individually, you cook them more accurately and like better. Like cooking the whole hog, like the butt is gonna take a little longer than the ribs.
Yep.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, is it just that's just how it works. But like in North Carolina, it's like pig pickings are like the shit. Like you go just show up and you just smash the whole pig on the little tray and you scoop your shit into
So
your.
we went. I took a little
plate.
little barbecue crawl with one of my buddies. He owns Old Colony Smokehouse. So if you ever go to Edenton,
I know him.
For
I bought a
Adam?
smoker from him. Adam. Yes.
amazing guy.
I bought my backwoods smoker. Oh my God, it's crazy. When I first got into cooking, I was into barbecue, and I was on all the forums and stuff.
Okay.
Like I had a big green egg. I was looking for my next smoker. I had a big green egg. I had like an Oklahoma Joe, and I was looking. I was looking at Lang. I was looking at Yoder. I was looking at a bunch of different stuff, and like on the forum, that's where I met Adam. And Old Colony, they compete on the barbecue circuit. I was looking to get into.
He has won so many.
He's a beast.
He is.
But I knew
phenomenal.
him when he first started. Like we met when he was first started getting into like barbecue competitions, and I bought my backwoods smoker from him.
Did you know Chris Preto?
No.
So he opened up Prime down in Raleigh. Well, Nightingale. But
Remember
he's-
that time you
When I went out there.
that's the guy.
Oh, that's the guy.
So I shadowed him at a barbecue competition because I was about
Chris?
to get into
Adam.
I was about to get into it, and I shadowed him that time, and I had Jamel pull up. I don't remember where we were.
I don't know where it was at. It was in the middle of.
We were in the middle of nowhere.
For real, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I met him out there, yeah.
Yeah, but that's crazy that you mentioned him.
That's good.
Yeah, but he's great people. Does great
Very
things.
nice guy. Like gives you all the information in the world. He
He opened
didn't
up
know
a
me
spot.
from
I want to say
Adam.
about a year ago. A new spot.
Where's it at?
Edenton.
I have
So
to-
not very far from. He had a spot about 2 miles down the road.
What's the name of it? Do you know?
Old Colony Smokehouse.
Makes
Yep.
sense. Okay.
Yep.
I have to
Great
give
people.
him a shout out. He's super nice guy. I forgot all about him until you just said that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's.
I bought my first like expensive smoker. I mean, I guess Big Green Egg's kind of expensive, but my first real smoker from him. He had it like
And-
welded and shit. It was dope.
It's just wild
Really
because
nice guy.
competition is not. I get that question all the time. Like, oh, you do competitions? I'm like, I cook for people, not judges.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's just a completely different.
Yeah, one bite versus an
Atmosphere.
experience
Yes.
is not the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yep. So
Like I grew up watching like Malcolm Reed, Killer Hogs
Mm-hmm.
Barbecue. Was super into him. I did his podcast not too long ago. I watched, what's my guy from Cosmos? I watched a lot of his stuff.
you watch any of the Matt Pittman?
Oh, for sure. Meat Church.
Yep.
Dizzy Pig in Virginia. They're one of they got a rub that's really good.
Okay.
I used to watch, obviously I watch all the Pit Masters stuff, so I know the people that
So
you're
you said
talking about.
you're going down to Austin next week.
Yep.
Give me a little lowdown. What's your
I'm going with
plans?
my wife as like a vacation, like
Okay.
a little. We got a list of cities that we are like major cities that we've never visited, and Austin's on the list. So like we just kind of decided to go on a whim. So I don't know that I can drag her out to like do all the food stuff that I want to do, but I'm trying. I'm working it in. I'm
Do you
like
have any on
sprinkling
your
it.
hit list?
We're doing the sushi spot I told you about. That's crazy. And then I heard Goldie's is supposed to be really
That's
good.
in Fort Worth.
Oh, it's not in Austin.
It's
Oh,
not.
it's not in Austin. I thought it was in Austin. Okay.
I would love to go to Franklin's.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm willing to get up at 5:30 in the morning to do it though. So I
Isn't
don't
he
know.
the person that taught like everybody how to make barbecue?
So basically, he's for like the new school barbecue, which I guess now is not really new school because there's other new schooler barbecue.
Yeah.
But yes, he is for the modern day barbecue. He's like the godfather.
okay.
particularly on the
a lot of
brisket
people,
side of things?
a lot of people that are successful now that have spots, all worked for him or shadowed or anything. So
Okay.
yeah, I've
would
met him a
love to
couple times. Real
experience
nice
it.
guy.
Yeah, but
I don't
that
know
long
that
wait
I
is
got
crazy.
it in me to camp from
that's
five
that's
to-
a crazy wait. for sure.
Yeah.
It
You gotta
is.
do a podcast.
Unless if I'm there for a week,
It's not beneath
if I'm there
me,
for a
but
week,
I would do it.
but just like-
it's like if we only got 4 days,
That's what I'm
am
saying. If I was
spending
there
an
for like
entire day,
yeah,
Well, and when we were in line, that's what everybody said. Everybody's like, well, I can give you 5 other places because you could leave right now and go and get lunch anywhere of these
we
places.
could eat
and
2
they're all
other
great.
places by the
They're all
time
great.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was more of like I wanted to go there because
of the history.
of what it was, right?
That's what
Yeah.
I want to do, but I was
Yeah.
like, I don't. Maybe I got to come back for it. We'll see. I'm gonna talk to my wife tonight, and we'll figure it out. We got a list.
I mean, if you're in Austin, I'd really say go like another hour south to Seguin and go to Burnt Bean. But you might actually be getting them right before the Texas Top 50 list comes out. 'Cause that comes out, I want to say, in about 10 days. Once that comes out, whoever is on that top 10 list, the lines are going to be.
Would Austin be considered like the capital? Because a lot of people started
Oh,
there
for
with
sure.
barbecue.
Yeah,
right.
that's basically where they're saying is the best barbecue right now. But I
Okay.
mean, you go to different parts of Texas, and
can't
you got
miss.
some of the
Yeah.
you got like City Market and all these places.
The thing about being in if you have an operating barbecue spot in Austin, you got to be good. Or you're gonna be put
you're
out
not
of
gonna be in the
business.
business, right?
Or you're gonna close.
well, because the big guys, right? You
Yes.
got Terry Blacks, and we were talking about like so when we went to Terry Blacks, my pitmaster and I went down there, and it wasn't my favorite tray, but to the volume that they do it, just
impressive.
blows you away.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in. I think they have like 5 spots now. Each one cooks on site, following the same everything, which is hard because barbecue is just difficult to replicate.
you can't fast track it.
But I think they have in their pit room, they got like 6 to 8 1,000s, and they go through 300 to 400 briskets in a day. I mean, they're 24/7 just slinging brisket, and they got like one pit that does sausage. Now down there, mind you, pork butts aren't really a thing.
People in
so
Texas don't
here,
fuck with pork butt
we
like that.
pork is one of our, I don't want to say staple, but it's a pretty. I mean, we cook a decent amount of them. We're cooking right now, and we use a smaller brisket because we're using Elite Prime, so it's upper 50% prime. It's harvested from a smaller cattle. But we're doing on a Saturday. Well, we're cooking on Friday to serve Saturday. We're doing 110 to 130 of them on a Friday for Saturday.
Yeah, about 10, 12 pounds after you trim them.
No. They finish only like 4.5, 5 pounds.
But when you put them on the smoker, what do they weigh?
They're
About
probably 7.5. So when we get them, they're probably 10.5 or 9.5 to 10s. We trim very aggressively because the shape. We have you basically trim for the way that you cook, and we cook a certain way, which is just very aggressive. But I can use that trim for sausage making, for grinding burgers or tallow and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just the volume that Terry Blacks does it's just it blows my mind. One of the pit builders that we have a couple of their pits, he was telling me he went down there because he was going to buy some property to start doing the firewood sales, and he shadowed them, and he said that he was there on a Friday, and they did, in the first 2 hours they were open on a Friday, they did $150,000.
Damn.
People
In
ordered
the first 2
differently.
hours?
People ordered so the way they
Jesus
have
Christ.
so their setup also is in my mind the most efficient barbecue setup that you can do. They kind of corral you in. Any one of Terry Black's same way. They corral you in to the sides, and as soon as you do your sides, and this hostess takes your tray and then leads you to one of like
You're at
5 or
80
6
bucks
Yeah.
right out
5
the
or
gate.
6 cutting
And they
boards,
cutting it
and
right in
each
front of you.
cutting board has its own cashier.
Yeah.
So the way we do it, you walk in and you go to the cutting board first, and it's one cutter,
Right.
and I got to go to one side person, the one cashier. So they have it to where
Efficient.
it's just they got
It's like the
6.
Costco
It is
of
efficient, yeah.
barbecue restaurants.
Because all five- 'cause
and the
we
way
went
they
in-
always do it too is you're walking directly up to this booze block, thick old butcher block.
Yeah.
And all your meats are sitting on the thing because they go through them so fast
Yeah.
that they don't have to put anything back in a warmer. So as soon as it comes out of that sham or whatever,
It's ready to go.
and it goes
Yeah.
on that cutting board and they start cutting it, it's there. So you're standing legit right next to a brisket, a rack of beef ribs,
You're
a turkey.
smelling it,
How
you're
do you
smelling
not?
it.
Yeah.
Like, I need
You
all
want
of
it.
it.
I came here for
Right.
this.
Yeah.
Like, how do I not get everything?
Let me spend $150 today.
Yeah,
Like, fuck
and
it.
that's what gets me is that somebody will come into our restaurant and be like, I want a lunch combo pulled pork sandwich.
Get the fuck out of here.
Right, and then they'll go online and be like, "It was good, but it wasn't. It didn't
$20.
wow me." It's like you just
come in and
spent
get the cheapest thing.
You just spent
You gotta come get the
$15 for
cheapest thing in here.
for a pulled pork sandwich. Like, what do you think it's gonna do? Did you think this was gonna like give you a reach around? Like, what did you think it was gonna do?
Right.
I've had people come and leave me a 4-star review and say in the shit, like, this is the best food I've ever had.
And gave you a 4-star.
Do you know that a 4-star review is a bad review?
It's bad.
It'll
Yes.
take my
Yep.
fucking, it'll take me
Yep.
from a 4.7 to a 4.5 in a heartbeat. You're fucking me over.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah, we
let's
get
wrap
that
this
too.
up with give the people, any aspiring entrepreneur, restaurateur, barbecue enthusiast, what is some advice that has helped you go from making the leap from food truck to now 3 rooftops?
I'd probably say, the words of Nike, just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ran the numbers and the numbers are telling you to do it, numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
If you don't have any experience,
And if you don't know numbers, hire somebody that does know numbers.
for sure.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people
typically,
don't know
to hire
numbers.
people that are the good people, you got to have some money coming in
Yeah.
to pay for the good
That's
people.
true.
But yes, and then don't be so proud to think that your idea, your opinion, your answer is the only right answer,
Right.
because it's not.
Right.
I've been wrong way too many times today alone. But you know what? I'm going to lay my head in the pillow. I'm going to go to bed because
Yeah.
I listened to other people. I gave them a little bit of incentive to, make the call. Because that's one thing that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. My first job my first management job when I was like 23 at the country club, the owner would travel from Rochester to Syracuse, which is about an hour and 15. But during the winter, of course, I mean, the hour and 15 could be 5 hours, right? And I was just constantly like blowing his phone up with these dumbass questions. I didn't think they were dumb. I was 23. I mean, I've never done this before.
Right.
He pulled me in the office and I was like, oh, shit, what'd I do wrong? And he's like, listen, make the fucking call. Make it. If it was wrong, we'll sit down and we'll talk about it
later.
We'll figure out what can be done differently next time. If it was right, we're never going to talk about it. Make the call. I trust you. And after that, it was just, I mean, I know I probably still would ask him questions, but I think it was just kind of a little burden off my shoulders to be like, okay, well, he does trust me.
Right.
Right. He gets it. He gets me. Somebody just had to trust me.
Right.
And, I mean, I try to give that trust to anybody that's willing to take it, knowing that on the flip side of that, if it's a wrong call,
I'll hold you
we're going to have a
accountable.
real conversation about it.
sure, yeah.
And, you can't get it bent out of shape because depending on the severity of that call, I mean, or how wrong of a decision you really made, I mean, it could be a tough conversation.
Yeah.
But, it's still going to be a conversation. We're
Right.
still going to shake hands, hug, whatever it is, and go about our business.
Right.
Right.
So,
I love that. Where can people find you? Instagram, Facebook?
yep, Instagram, Facebook. I want to say it's Redwood Smoke is our, tag or whatever it is.
Website?
We're on TikTok. We're redwoodsmokeshack.com for our website. We do catering. On the website, it's a lot of information too about, our smokers, where they came from, what the names are, and all that, why they're named that way, kind of our story. And then we got 3 locations, one in Norfolk, so that's 2001 Manio Street in Norfolk. Second location's Virginia Beach, 2476 Nemo Parkway. And then the third, which is the newest one, we've been open almost going on 5 months now. And that is 3881 Bridge Road in Suffolk. So you can find me and my team at every single one of those locations.
Love that. If you're in Virginia or in driving distance and you want some good barbecue, this is a spot to come to, whether it's Norfolk, Suffolk, or Virginia Beach. Make sure you guys follow him, check him out. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.